We start at 4 o'clock with what was a 44-year-old murder case in Weld County that had gone unsolved until investigators say DNA testing helped them find their suspect. But now that case against James Dye is in question.
The DNA analyst at CBI who tested evidence is under criminal investigation. 9 News reporter, crime and justice reporter Kelly Brinke joins us now. And Kelly, the district attorney took a rare step to get more information.
Yeah, Kim and Tom, CBI and prosecutors work very closely together. The agency many times provides them with their star witnesses, but the district attorney says he's struggling to get information from CBI about the investigation into the DNA scientist. So he filed a subpoena. A veteran analyst at CBI played a key role in a cold case in Weld County. After more than 40 years, DNA results finally led to an arrest. But now prosecutor star witness is under criminal investigation.
We are really seeing the tip of the problem iceberg.
9 News legal expert Scott Robinson is talking about the investigation into Yvonne Missy Woods. A review found anomalies in her work, including testing she did on this cold case. Investigators arrested James Dye 3 years ago for killing 29-year-old Evelyn K. Day in 1979.
We're only beginning to see a wave of motions seeking information from the CBI by various district attorneys.
The district attorney in Weld County took that rare step this month. He filed a subpoena against CBI to learn if these anomalies could impact his prosecution. Documents say right now the agency isn't sharing much.
The justice system really requires technology such as DNA analysis to be accurate.
The internal affairs investigation found Woods manipulated data in more than 600 cases. The district attorney is now fighting for the whole case file to get more specifics on open and closed cases.
Any case in which Missy Woods testified is now at issue. And any case that was a cold case that was solved as a result of DNA testing conducted by Missy Woods is also put into doubt.
A review is casting doubt on significant evidence after it took decades for a cold case to see progress.
You can't really call this a can of worms. This is more like a barrel of worms.
That internal review did not find Woods falsified DNA matches or fabricated DNA profiles. The district attorney in Weld County is still waiting on the evidence to be retested to see if possible anomalies impacted the results.
And you've talked about this so many times, Kelly, but I think everybody on all sides takes a deep breath saying, oh my goodness, we thought we'd solved a cold case that so many people wanted solved.
Yeah, you talk about the defendants that could possibly be impacted, the families that are impacted, not just cases that are moving forward in the court system right now, but those closed cases are under question too.
Oh my goodness. Well, you're on it all the time, nearly every day, so thank you. We appreciate the update.
No problem.
Also today, a man from Littleton who kicked an officer during the January 6th attack on the Capitol and bragged about his role on social media has been found guilty. Court documents say 51-year-old Patrick Montgomery met two men from Utah and Washington on January 6th and then posted evidence throughout the day on social media. They attended the Stop the Steal rally hosted by former President Trump, and afterwards those three men went to the Capitol. That's where Montgomery wrestled with a law enforcement officer for their baton. Prosecutors say he kicked an officer in the chest. About 30 minutes later, the men entered the Capitol and went to the Senate gallery. The three men tried to go to the Senate floor, but were confronted by a Capitol police officer and eventually left. Montgomery was arrested 11 days later back in Colorado, convicted now today of obstruction and official proceeding and an additional felony offense of assaulting an officer. His sentencing is now set for July 2nd.
Today is the first full day of spring because, you know, the other one didn't count. Started too late. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a full day. And it was a nice day. We got into the 60s. Plenty of sunshine out there. Lauren, you got the first full day.
Yes, the first full day. I'm on that. I haven't counted yesterday. It started at like after 9 p.m. We didn't even get a spring afternoon. That's when spring is at its best, in the afternoon, right? All right, well, we had a very spring-like afternoon all across the state. So far, we're at 59 degrees at DIA. We did make it into the low 60s earlier this afternoon. Most of the Front Range and Eastern Plains is in the upper 50s to lower 60s. We are seeing those warmer temperatures to the south, upper 60s in Pueblo and Lamar. We're in in the 30s, 40s, 50s in the high country, 50s and 60s right now across the western slope. Now, as we take a look at our HD Doppler radar, we do have some very light snow and rain showers across the south and southwestern portions of Colorado. These are very light, very spotty, not too eventful. We could see a couple stray raindrops make their way into southern portions of the Front Range. It'll be 1 or 2 raindrops, nothing to really affect the rest of your evening. So overall, we're going to be pretty clear and calm tonight. Now, as we go into the weekend, we're going to see a lot of sunshine, warm, breezy conditions. And as we move into next week, we're looking for our next system to bring some more snow into the state. So I'll have details on all of that, just my full 7-day forecast.
Thanks, Lauren. Developing today, a shooting this morning hurt a woman near I-70 in Colorado. Police say this happened at 44th and Cook. The woman was taken to the hospital. We don't know how she's doing. Police have not released any information about a suspect or what happened. We'll bring you those updates when we get them. The battle over a controversial Texas border law is back in court.
It was just yesterday that the U.S. Supreme Court said that Texas law enforcement could, at least temporarily, arrest anyone believed to have entered the country illegally. But overnight, that changed yet again. Here's NBC's Alice Barr.
A head-spinning Texas border battle has local law enforcement on edge.
I feel very nervous because I don't have any information.
And the nation watching what could be a seismic shift in immigration enforcement. Overnight, an appeals court put a controversial policy on hold once again that would have let state and local police in Texas arrest migrants suspected of entering the country illegally.
What's going on the border is nothing short of catastrophic.
Just yesterday, the U.S. Supreme Court had refused to block the law and sent the case back to the lower court, which today heard oral arguments on the Biden administration's request to throw the policy out on the grounds the federal government has sole authority over immigration. An attorney for Texas arguing the state is stepping in because the federal government isn't doing enough to stop what has been a record influx of migrants crossing the border in recent months.
It seems to me that Congress has said we want the immigration laws enforced. And if the United States isn't going to do it, either because they don't have the resources or because they don't have the will, well, they've no longer occupied the field.
The government's lawyer firing back.
It's just wrong that the federal government isn't acting in this area.
Advocates argue a patchwork of states enforcing their own immigration rules would sow chaos.
We can't have each state negotiating with Texas. It has to be the national government. The Supreme Court has said that over and over.
Immigration, a top issue on the campaign trail and on Capitol Hill, where a bipartisan border bill former President Trump opposed is stalled as voters across the country press for solutions. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
The Boeing Corporation says it's going to see a massive loss in the first quarter of this year. Of course, this follows the door plug blowout in January. The company's chief financial officer shared that news at an investor conference today. Boeing says its commercial airplane profit margin will plunge to around negative 20%, marking the biggest loss margin in 2 years.
Right now, a national park in Colorado is asking for your thoughts about proposed changes to deal with the growing number of visitors. Before 2015, Great Sand Dunes National Park says it saw between 200 and 300,000 people per year. Now that number has doubled. It's now close to 600,000. More visitors are creating more problems. Parking lots fill up quickly, causing people to park on the side of the road. And there are long lines at the entrance station. The park is considering making a few changes to fix the issues, like expanding the Dunes parking lot and adding more lanes at the entrance. Now the park wants to hear what the public has to say.
We are just a few people trying to figure this out. But there's a much bigger audience that enjoys the Great Sand Dunes, enjoys coming to the park and to this place. And we want to hear from people. We want that input. You know, there may be things people are experiencing that we're not even aware of. That's why we need to hear it.
And the comment period for these changes ends next Friday. Anyone interested in sharing their thoughts can do so on the National Park Service Park planning website. It is the coolest place, and I still remember as a kid the first time you go there. But
yeah, it's amazing to see, and I know why people want to go there.
Yeah, yeah. So it's that parking on the side of the road and everything else. That's a lot. Okay, you know what we are? We're 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, away from CU men's basketball starting their March Madness tourney. Last night was good for CSU.
Yeah, tonight's the Buffs' turn. They're playing in the first four of the NCAA tournament this evening. CSU registered a blowout win last night. Now the Buffs take on Boise State in Ohio. The team sharing these pictures during practice earlier today. Game time, 7:10. And our Jacob Toby is also in Dayton. He'll be joining us live with a preview coming up at 4:30. I know one thing that Boise State will do that Virginia didn't was score occasionally.
What happened?
It is though Virginia had forgotten how to play basketball.
Or they just overslept or just didn't come up, decide to.
All credit to CSU for what they did defensively, but
yes.
Virginia put on an all-time show of how not to shoot the basketball. But they advance, and now it's the Buffs' turn. Hopefully both teams will be coming out of Dayton. That'd be great.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.